Hello guys, today we're going to talk about the movie Shazam. I needed this. The movie was released this year, 2019. It's rated PG-13, and it's about 2 hours and 12 minutes long. It has a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb with about 49,000-ish users, and 71% by Metacritic with about 52 critics. It stars Zachary Levi, who was in Chuck, and Mark Strong, who was in the first Sherlock Holmes movie. It's directed by David F. Sandberg, who did the Lights Out horror movie. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has 91% by critics, about 313 critics, and 89% by audiences, about 2,600-ish audience people. The critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is that an effortlessly entertaining blend of humor and heart, Shazam is a superhero movie that never forgets the genre's real power: joyous wish fulfillment. After Pet Sematary, see, I want to watch this movie first, if I had to pick between the two, this one, but due to scheduling and, life, no one's fault, we watched Pet Sematary first, and I didn't know how I would feel towards the end of it. If you're curious on my thoughts on that, check out the video on that, but Shazam here, this is an awesome movie. I've always been a Captain Marvel / Shazam fan, always. Ever since I was a kid, when I read about the Alex Ross 2-page biography and the Justice League biography book. I used to have it and then it lost it, and I'm ashamed I have, because I love that book. I've been a fan of him. I love his style, I love the story, I love the characters, I love the villains that are in it. It's just really a superhero Batman A-list level world that never quite got it, that never got its due, like Batman and Superman did, and it's unfortunate. And seeing it done in a movie so well, and capturing the spirit of the comics while still being a modern update of it, like, warms my heart. This movie's awesome. Like, acting's great, the writing's fantastic. There is a couple dialogue moments that I thought, probably could have tweaked that a tad, but nothing too serious. The cinematography's great. The atmosphere is awesome. It definitely captures that young kid, but it doesn't feel. It feels like it was made with everyone respectfully in mind. There's not really any cliches or anything at all. Acting. It's directed really well too. The guy who directed it, he had a great eye on what angles to use, the timing of everything, and really managing everything as well. Let's see. And I said cinematography was great. If I didn't, then yeah, it's pretty awesome, especially the fight scenes and oh my god, the movie was hilarious. It had people in stitches when I was in the theaters. It's just, the jokes are just great, but it doesn't shy away from the dramatic stuff too. It really hones in on the dramatic stuff too. And in terms of adapting from the Shazam story, it's a very great adaptation. The use of the villain, while solid, and it does follow the comics from what I believe to a degree, it is a bit different. The villain in the comics is more of the classic mad scientist from his 40s origin, but they definitely gave him an update, and he is definitely more menacing in this. I mean, Mark Strong's a great choice to play, he's a great actor, especially when he gets those villain roles. He's so good in them. I remember when I interned somewhere, hearing people talk about the Aquaman and Shazam trailer, and they said Aquaman looked great, and Aquaman's a good movie too, but I could argue Shazam's better. And I think a lot of people might agree with me. Even though Aquaman was a great movie too. But they said Shazam just looked bad. The effects looked weird. It didn't look right. And I can see that, but man, this movie's just... Shazam and Aquaman are two completely different movies, but Shazam just... I want a sequel right now. And they pull a couple twists towards the end that really propel it beyond the typical origin story stuff. And man, I just love this movie. Is it my favorite DC movie? I I could say at this point it is. I'm kind of waiting on a Justice League movie to top that, because once you get all those heroes together, that's just money. Um, let's. But yeah, I would say as of this moment it is. Aquaman was a great movie, but it's still. I think it had. I think the writing in this movie is a bit better. Wonder Woman's close, but I think I think Wonder Woman's climax was only an inch rough. There's really nothing rough about this movie. This movie just has it all down, in my opinion. And God, I just love this movie. It's just awesome. The way they use the characters, the timing of bringing characters in, having characters become things. I mean, they did something that I would think they would wait for the sequel to do, but they did it in this one. I was shocked and I was surprised and I loved it. It was perfect, and I just love this movie. I love the atmosphere. I love the world. I like how the world could be both whimsical and hardcore. I loved how brutally honest it is, but yet how imaginative it can be. It just aces everything, and this is a movie to see. You can watch it with your kids, you can watch it by yourself, you can watch it with your other adult friends. It's a solid PG-13 movie. If you're gonna make a movie PG-13, that sweet spot is it's this one really. And that's the thing. I'm not a big PG-13 fan, but I feel like I always thought it was a weird rating. But for this movie, it works. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say. I just love the shit out of this movie. Everything's really spot on in this. There are a couple after credits things, like a mid and an end, so stick around for those. But yeah, Shazam, I always loved Shazam, Captain Marvel. I could talk a bit about them, but in all honesty, you could probably find that information on Wikipedia pretty easily. I will say that he is probably one of the most unique superheroes in comic books, because his origin, the way he is so in the middle, because he's not really, he's not like the typical, he's not like Superman where he's like all superpowers, and he's not like Batman where he's human. I mean, he does have powers, but it's not sci-fi or down to earth. It's magic, and the magic in the superhero world is definitely there, but it's nothing that's like up there with the other two. Shazam was the one. Now, I will mention briefly, in case people are curious why Will Fenn, if Shazam was so fantastic, why has no one heard it? Well, legal issues. The first time, they were sued multiple times. The first time was because they thought Shazam looked too similar to Superman, and the comic books running them ended up having to stop running the comics, so they were shut that down for a while. And then when the Silver Age of comic books, the 60s, 50s, 60s, they brought him back for a bit, and he was doing pretty well. But then a little group called Marvel sued them for not only using the Marvel name and Captain Marvel, but also using the full name Captain Marvel, because they had a comic book character called Captain Marvel too. So they sued them, and they ended up shelving the character. Now the character did have a TV show in the 70s that was called Shazam, and was in some cartoons. In the movie, Shazam was actually the first comic book movie adaptation in the 40s. It was a serial. I caught a tad of it online. It looked pretty. It actually looked kind of brutal for the day. In one scene I won't get into right now. And then they tried reviving. DC bought the rights to him eventually, and they tried reviving him in the 80s. This is minor success, but the 90s, run in the 90s, like, it was kind of like mid to late 80s to early 90s area. They did a run with him They tried running with him. They made some success, I think, early 90s, and they had a good run with him. And then the 2000s came, they kept trying. But this movie, if any movie was going to save a character, I'm glad it was this movie with Shazam. But yeah, that's all I had to say about it. It's an awesome movie. Check it out. It's still in theaters, thank God. You gotta see it, especially with a crowd. But yeah, Joyce Wilson element, that's perfect. This movie really did bring out the kid of me, because it really felt like I was a kid being a superhero watching this movie, and it was awesome. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.